sorry, I guess it's because just the availability of materials is just so different.
Yeah.
And that's maybe also something that differentiates us for the moment from a lot of keepers in the States because Till, Flo, and me, for example, we have these big aluminium setups. Stefan, for the moment, yours is still under construction because he's building one outside. Yeah. And yeah, we call ourselves the greenhouse boys because yeah, these this greenhouse style of building the setups is for the start was for the start was what was really connecting us. And we use aluminum frames and polycarbonate panels and glass and also mesh for different sides of the setups to make something that is, on the one hand, very practical, very well thought of, and very good to use, and on the other hand, very aesthetic. And so we kind of sometimes call our setups like vivarium furniture because we like to see
Mm.
these centerpieces in a living room, for example. And yeah, that's a style that we like to promote, and it's not necessarily anything that is typical for Europe, although we have quite a lot of it, I want to say. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's just us with our project, raising the flag and yeah, putting Europe on the map.
So did one of you come to that conclusion and influence the others, or were you all working with that style of kind of DIY tubing enclosure on your own and then just found each other on Instagram because you keep similar?
Yeah.
Ben, it's your
I,
turn,
I would like to hear Phil's story.
My story.
Yeah.
I think I think we use some of the methods or some parts of it in a different way. Like I think I already used these aluminum frames to build some of my snakes enclosures, and everybody was working with some of the materials already. And then somehow, at least Flo, Ben, and I met, and yeah, we wrote on Instagram and on WhatsApp, and then we started, yeah, meeting. And I'm not sure who had this idea, but Ben built his big greenhouse first, then Flo, and then I was like, oh, maybe something small for the plants. And then I did this one, but it's the smallest one out of us three. Yeah.
How tall is that?
2 meters 35.
Okay,
I
so
think.
pretty, yeah, so it's pretty big.
Yeah. I think that the basic idea was like to break it down real quickly. It was like we all uh, hang on FaceTime, and then we said like it would be so cool to have like a botanical garden or a greenhouse at home. And you can buy greenhouses like in your hardware store or something, but we wanted to look like yeah a piece of furniture. And yeah, we wanted to build something really big and that is easily movable and also not as heavy. I think that's like for me at least one of the best parts about it. You can build like a huge enclosure and it weighs almost nothing.
Mm.
And yeah, I think we all inspired each other. Ben started this whole thing and yeah, and then I was next and we all learned from each other. This was also great and it's super practical. To be honest, I wouldn't even like consider buying another style of enclosure because it's practical.
It's the same for me.
Yeah.
We
For me, it's like we found a way that just works better than what is available. So I feel like from now on, we are just doing it by ourselves.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's kind of an intensive process, I want to say, to go through to get everything ready to build such a setup. It's the planning phase. Then you have to order all the equipment, then the construction itself. Then you have to assemble all of the interior design and everything. And it's also expensive on the other hand. It's not like, well,
Mhm.
for the size, it's pretty dope, I want
Not
to say.
expensive.
But due to
Yeah.
the fact that we are building huge setups, it's like setups of the size that you can walk inside in from like half a square meter to Mine is about 8 for the moment. It's different connected parts. Yeah, so it's like an investment in the hobby, not only money-wise, but also from time and effort. And that way you can, in my opinion, celebrate the animal a lot more because you go through this difficult process over a month or two to build your setup, and then you can finally, set your animal free and sometimes even say goodbye for a little while because you don't even find them. I can remember myself very well when I was at Flo's place, just looking for the lizards for 5 minutes, and I didn't even find them in the setups because it's just so huge and so, well planted and everything. And it's kind of a celebration to the hobby and the animal itself, in my opinion, if you build a setup that is just extraordinary. And that's what we would like to promote, this idea.
And it has already been proven that this is very practical when you have to move, because Ben moved to a new place some time ago. I moved to a different city last year, and Flo is moving this year. And we helped each other to disassemble or assemble the setups. I remember with Ben, Flo and I came over and we deconstructed this huge greenhouse within half a day and transported everything to the new city. And at my place, Flo came over and we had how is it called? A crowbar, just ripping out the plates of the bigger snakes enclosures and just deconstructing everything. And you just need 1 or 2 persons carrying the single walls, and you can just stick it back together, repair the back wall, put the plants back in, and you have a finished setups within some hours. That was very nice to know that it works out that way.
Especially when we have huge enclosures and you invested a lot of money, like when you bought a wooden terrarium or even glass terrarium. I think you can throw this thing away when you move out.
Yeah.
At least in my apartment, because it
doesn't fit through the
wouldn't
door.
even fit.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was this big. And yeah, with this aluminum frame, it's super easy. You have connectors, and you could basically only the whole thing you could transport in 4 parts, and that's it.
And carry it by yourself.
Well, I think, I mean, I think that'll be fascinating for people once you dig into the podcast. Those are some really cool, just keeping practices that people could pick up on that I think will be very beneficial. And I think it's interesting because 3 of you, with the exception of Stefan, really have a very small, quote unquote, collection of animals, right? It's just you each are focused on essentially one project or maybe a few small projects. Stefan has a little more on the go, but that's almost counterintuitive to what we a lot of the time see.